So my philosophy is about showing the capacity of our people, backing it, enabling it, and unlocking it across sports, media, entertainment, culture, and also thinking to a large extent, we're thinking about how we can empower young Nigerians and give them something to look forward to and let them understand that their capacity is what will actually move the continent forward. My name is Asika. I was born in Lagos in October 1968. My full name is actually Obodo-Echina, and if you understand Igbo, what that means is it means my country will not die. So I was named for Nigeria, and I was also named for the east of Nigeria, which was undergoing civil war at the time. So my father named me for my country, and I represent my country. I'm passionate about Nigeria, I'm passionate about culture, I'm passionate about intellect. Some people call it soft power. I think it's the real power. I'm Igbo and music is in my DNA. We use music to bury, we use music to celebrate life, we use music in, wedding ceremonies. And that's really for everybody in Africa. It's not just my particular ethnic background. In terms of, it's funny, when I think back about how did I start in the business of entertainment, I think, all these influences come from youth. My father was in government, and my father is probably the only person in the history of this country that had Fela Kuti play in a government house. And the thing about it is, when you're influenced like that from an early age, you never forget it. I remember coming back to Nigeria when I was about 10 years old, and my father called his best friend, who was a chap called, one of his best friends, Professor Uku. And he called me and he said, your father says he's really worried about you. And I'm like, what's he worried about? He says, oh my God, he's so worried about the fact that you're not listening to Fela Kuti. He said, you need to be listening to Fela. I was like, yeah, of course I listen to Fela, but of course, as you're younger, the way you listen to music changes as you get older. So I started listening to Fela again about 10, 11, and I'm listening to Africa Gentleman was the record that he said I should listen to. And that same impact on me brought me back into the African sound. The thing is, by the time I was about 2 years later, I now became a complete hip hop head. Electro funk, body popping, we were doing it all from 1981, 82. And I don't know why it connected with me so much, but it did from day one. So Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five, I saw them live in London in 1982. And I already knew, I was like, okay, this is different. Run DMC by 84. So the whole 80s, I was really heavily into hip hop. By the time I was 15, 16, I was promoting nightclubs in London. I was DJing in clubs. And these things are like, okay, I'm promoting, what does that even mean? I had like 50p or something, And by the time I went to university, I was actually promoting club nights, okay? We were charging people £2 to come in. So we weren't exactly making big money, but we were having a great time. As a DJ, the fusion begins to happen. So I'm mixing Fela Kuti with De La Soul. I'm mixing X-Clan with King Sunny Ade. I'm looking for those elements in the music. And, as a very young person, we were lucky. In 1989, I hooked up with a guy called Jarvis. Okay, Jarvis was a big promoter in the UK scene. There was something called the rave scene, which really was house music driven. But one of the biggest promoters, the biggest black promoter, was a guy called Jarvis. Jarvis was Jamaican. His organization and us partnered, and we were 6, 7 young Nigerians. It's 1987 summer, and I'm always trying to collide culture. I realize this now. I've been on this thing of building global bridges between black people since I was a teenager. So we wanted to do a thing where it was the rave scene, which was very much electronic dance music and house, or EDM as you called it in 2021. In 1988, it was acid house. 1987, 89, it was acid house. That's what they used to call it. So we had the biggest DJs from that scene, but the biggest black-owned record label in hip hop at the time was called Def Jam Records. And that was Russell Simmons. And Russell was sitting in New York, and not only did he have Def Jam Records, he had Rush Artist Management. And Def Jam Records had everybody. They had LL Cool J, Public Enemy, Rush Artist Management had everybody Def Jam didn't have. That's Will Smith, EPMD, Rakim. So we're sitting in London, and what we decided to do was to collide the world. So we booked the guys from the States, we had the guys in the UK, we sold 40,000 tickets. One day I'm gonna make a film about biology, 1989. It's a true story. We had 40,000 tickets, had Public Enemy and a Tribe Called Quest sitting with Russell Simmons and Leo Cohen in the Intercontinental Hotel in Mayfair. And we're all in university. I think I was 20 years old. And Russell is looking at us thinking, you Nigerians are crazy. We're like, yeah, but that's how I found out that Leo Cohen grew up in Port Harcourt. And he's chairman of YouTube Today, YouTube Music. And he went on to lead Def Jam and 300 Music. So the journey is incredible because we were kids, but we knew what we wanted to do. We wanted to collide. And just to give you an indication, think about the fact that as we were trying to collide that, we were colliding Black American music with the UK scene. There was no place for the Nigerians, and we were the Nigerians, right? But there was no Nigerian artist that we could put into that mix. We didn't see any Nigerian artists at that time that could be in the conversation. There was nobody to compare or to put in the mix with Rakim or Big Daddy Kane or any of these guys, or Public Enemy or NWA. But that really is the moment when I realized that, hey, wait a second, this thing is a big business. We were still doing it for fun. And being kids and you're doing it for fun, we lost all our money. And then we lost all our money. But I remember Russell Simmons telling me at the time, and even it's funny because this is 1989. Even Russell hadn't become as big as he was going to become. But we're thinking, oh my God, we've lost it all. And Russell says to me, hey, you should come and intern for me in New York next summer. And I was graduating the next summer, 1990. And I was thinking about if I had gone to New York instead of going to Lagos, what would have happened? But I was always focused on I was coming to Lagos. And I had already met Jimmy Jan in 1986 in Lagos. I already had Olisa in Lagos. I already knew that I had my whole hip hop thing. And I was like, man, I'm going to Lagos. I just felt that, I don't even know whether it was a choice. Everybody else was trying to stay in Europe. I was trying to come home. And all my life, it seems to have been like that. Most of my friends and peers have been leaving Nigeria. We're coming back. Because we believe that no matter where you go in this world, you will be a Nigerian. So it was where am I? I'm not gonna hide. I only have a green passport. I'm not trying to be anything else. I am a Nigerian. And if you can't deal with it, then you can't deal with me. And that's just who I am. I mean, the truth of the matter about Storm is that I came back to Nigeria in June 1990. And I was coming back to do law school. And I had an older family friend called Nnamdi Eneli, who was already an executive director with a family company called Geisen. And they were the country representatives for IBM. So he was selling IBM machines. He had a Range Rover. I mean, I'm a kid coming out of university, going to law school with no money. And Nnamdi's like 10 years older than me or 11 years older than me. And but he was like my older brother. And I was telling him that, look, man, I've just got back to Lagos. There are no clubs for us. There are no parties for us. All the clubs are run by Lebanese. All the music is Oyibo music. I can't even hear hip hop anywhere. I can't deal with this. I don't understand what's going on. There were only a couple of nightclubs that were black operated. There was a club in Federal Palace in the underground, which a couple of guys were running. And then this is before Prince's had opened in Ikeja. Do you understand? So there was really a limited thing. So I'm like, listen, I've been promoting clubs since 1985 in London. I've been promoting parties since I was 16. So I'm like, Nnamdi, we're gonna do this, but hey, I need my man to come back from London. So I had this friend called Detola Fuora, and he was still in the UK. And I waited almost 6 months for him to come back, to move back to Nigeria. And of course, Olisa was on radio. And also, no, he wasn't on radio. What am I talking about? Olisa was doing Tops of the Pops, which was a show, a 30-minute video show, or 1-hour video show on Saturdays on NTA 2 Channel 5. So he had that kind of visibility. I'm like, listen, let's put Ollie in front, okay? We don't need to be in front. He can be the promoter. We'll show him how to promote clubs because, we've been promoting clubs 5 years. The club was called Enter the Dragon, and we were on the 8th floor, Western House. When we moved over to Enter the Dragon, we had flyers out there. And the first night, you know how it is, the Chinese guys that owned it, they were busy posing for us kids You guys, are you sure you need the whole space? Maybe you should just take half of the space. Are you really sure you need that you can fill this place? It was only 15 naira. 15 naira was the ticket to get enter the Dragon. And it was like, in fact, he said, no. Let me tell you something, on the opening night, there were 3,000 people there. The guy, the owner of the place, went behind the bar and started selling drinks himself. He pushed away the stuff. He couldn't believe what was happening. And you know how it is? After 3 months, he kicked us out. He thought, I'm going to do it myself. When he did it himself, he got 2 people. Yeah, because you cannot fake it. You can't deliver what you don't understand, right? And we did. That was the first club in my generation where we collided the people. But Enter the Dragon was the beginning of our journey at Storm, and my sort of first outing with entertainment in Nigeria. After that, we created a show. I created a show with them called Clapperboard Weekend Raps, which is also where we discovered a lot of talent for the first time. MC Tyranny, who's late now, rest in peace. Nuruddin Yusuf, who was the first artist Storm signed. Daddy Shoki, who showed up with the FBC crew from Ajegunle and was a rapper with a high top fade. There's a whole bunch of people like that in 1992 that came through for Clapperboard Weekend Raps. We also created a show called Sounds of Urban Lagos that Olisa was presenting on Clapperboard. And Clapperboard is the first private television station in Nigeria. We had our show syndicated on 30 TV stations in 1992, Clapperboard Weekend Raps. And I think it's one of the first shows going around the country. And you can imagine that I had Jimmy, I'm a DJ, so I'm thinking about this. So I had Jimmy doing the montage, scratching at the end of the show, every single episode. And when he scratches that montage, you say, come to Jimmy Jack Records for your mixtape, 17 Odo Street or Balande. And then it was later that, when we're doing Clapperboard Weekend Raps, Junior and Pretty showed up. And the first time they showed up, they were rapping in American accents, yeah? And guys were rapping in American accents. And I sort of sat them down to one side and I said, well, it wasn't even just me, all of us, I think, sat them down and said, look, I'm particularly passionate about the music and about people. So I'm like, guys, have you ever seen an AK-47? They're like, no. Okay. You ever been to America? I said, no. But I said, but every day you're on Ajegunle, right? You're on AJ City. I said, yeah. So you know Cutlass? I said, yeah. All these other things you said, yeah. I said, talk about what you know with confidence, right? And speak about it from a natural place. Why don't you do it in pidgin English instead of doing accents that you're struggling with? Because here you're struggling to speak English, but if you enter pidgin and flow naturally, everything could change. So we didn't, when you have these conversations with people, you don't know if they take it to heart, you don't know if they're upset. I don't know whether he wanted to do it, he didn't want to do it. And Junior was the guy, Pretty was like the backup, right? So they went away, and we were recording maybe once a month. So the next time we were recording, we used to tell people, when we were recording, come early and we'll listen to you. If you're good enough, we'll put you on TV. The next time we came, you know how it is, you already set up your big guys. You know that, okay, I'm putting you on Nadine, I'm putting you on Tribal Troubadours, I'm putting you on Solid Groove. These were all these crews, there was a crew out of Antony Village. This is 92. These boys came back. And the honest truth is, we'd already finished an album with Nadine. He knows. Nadine was like gonna destroy Blackie, and Blackie was my friend, right? But I used to tell him, Edward, every day, I got this guy who's gonna kill you. And because Nadine was just super talented, he was like Drake before Drake. He could rap, he could do dancehall, he had a singing voice. And we finished Nadine's album, True Black Man, which is still unreleased, right? Because that day, that second recording, Junior and Pretty came back, and we didn't know what the hell happened. These boys took the mic, got on the stage, and scattered the entire place. Guy just started rapping in pidgin. He had written 4 songs. I'm telling you that everybody there just forgot what they were doing and was like, oh my God. That time you see, it just all falls into place. You're like, my goodness. And I'll tell you something, till tomorrow, I really believe Junior and Pretty are kind of the founders of Afrobeats. Fame Music Awards, 1993, Album of the Year is Junior and Pretty. Monica. Sam Applebaum Jr. produced that album. He's in Amsterdam now or something, and I was in the studios with him every single day. With them, that's probably one of the last times I was actually in the studio for the recording process. When I talk about this stuff, I'm talking about it from a position of we did it, we didn't have any money, nobody gave us any money, we just got up and did it because we didn't feel we could be stopped. But then 98, 99, with other partners, I had got, because football is one of my other passions, yeah? And I used to go on TV as early as 91 on Best of Football with Dudu Orume. And Dudu and I actually together discovered JJ Okocha for the NFF in terms of, when I say discovered him, obviously we didn't discover him personally, but what happened was the famous goal he scored against Frankfurt. Dudu's the first person to play it on Nigerian television, and he had called me to be his co-commentator before he played it. So we watched this tape probably 100 times before we even uploaded it. And I'm like, this kid is for real. He's actually young. So we went looking for Sanitoro at NFA in Surulere and gave him the video. And we said, okay, you have to watch this thing and call this boy. And they called him up for the under 23. And even from then, I was already trying to embed our popular culture into the national team, into the football, because even till today, that is what is missing. For you to bring it home, the Super Eagles, the national team, has to be known by the people. The only thing that will take them to the people is the culture, which is the music, the fashion, the dance. By 2002-03, I'm kind of beginning to feel like these Nigerian artists are beginning to get to the level, I just beginning to get that feeling. Then 2003-04, Dare, The Tribesman, LD. Dare hadn't really recorded anything. Dare was on Cool FM and was at Unilag, but he hadn't yet recorded anything. But we knew he could sing. And in 2004, Dare was going to go to Project Fame. And I remember telling him, I said, look, I think you can win it. This is before he was even going. I mean, he was going. I said, look, man, if you play it right, I think you can win it. But let's do this. Let's not be surprised when you become somebody, right? So I'm going to pre-invest, okay? Right now, nobody's interested or nobody's even thinking about it. But so I am pre-invested, and we recorded 6 tracks before he even went to South Africa. Okay, and basically the first 6 tracks of his album, okay, they were all recorded before he went to South Africa for Project Fame, and he ended up coming 3rd. And I remember having to go to SA to help negotiate the break of his contract with BMG so that he could actually release music. Because if you think about it, all those reality shows, they were doing contracts with people, but they were not releasing the music. So you would have a contract, but then you can't release the music, then you're stuck because you can't actually be heard by anybody. So I've actually done that for Timmy Dakolo, I did that for Maami, I did that for Dare, and because at the end of the day, what you're trying to do is to put our people, our own talents in a position where they can be best positions to win and actually have a career. So Dare came back and started to blow. But at this time, I had already Nato C is my nephew, is my cousin, is my first cousin. And you know how it is, he'd been telling me about him and his man, Ikechukwu, and their crew, WFA. And I was saying, chill, you guys are not ready, you're not ready. I still thought they were too American, they were very hardcore, there was no melody, they were doing a lot of hardcore stuff. I was like, these Nigerians are not ready for you, man. So they were a little bit upset, but that's what happens sometimes. But one day I was driving to a funeral in the East, and I'm listening to radio, which I never listen to the radio, to be honest. I'm not really a radio person. I listen to the radio and I suddenly hear a song. I'm like, this is Ikechukwu and Nato. So I'm like, really? So this doesn't sound too bad. I said, this is one of the tracks I had that I wasn't even paying attention to. So what basically happened is that I called his mother. I said, where is Nato? So he's still in university. I said, okay, where's Ikechukwu? She doesn't know. I got Nato's number, I got Ikechukwu. I said, get on a plane. I think you guys have something. Get hold of Nato. When is he finishing? He's finishing in 2 months. Okay, when he's finished, he should come. You're in Austria, in Vienna, you're not doing much right now. Start coming. And he did. To be fair enough, he got on the plane, he got to Lagos, and we hooked up, and we just started grinding. And I put him on a couple of remixes, begin to infuse his energy that was coming from New York into that feeling that Dare already had, that the Tribesmen guys had, that Sasha was coming with. And Nato was still very young, okay? And Nato really followed those guys around for about 1.5 years, just sort of embedding himself and learning. And this is why Tola Odunsi is so important, because Tola is kind of like a cultural lifestyle engineer. So NATO was sort of taking in all this stuff from Tola and then translating it into his music. So when he's talking about, you know, my P and all these things, he's talking about Tola's lifestyle. But you wouldn't know that if you don't know, because it's in-house with us. And, you know, I still remember by the time they recorded 45 songs, we recorded 45 songs for NATO's first album. T.Y. Mix and VC Perez, who nobody knew, they were in Abuja. It wasn't cool to record in Abuja. It wasn't even cool to record with those guys. But, you know, they had some musicality that a lot of people in Lagos didn't have. And I still remember the day NATO and Tola walked in with Kimi Big Deal. And this is after about 9 months of recording, and we're still looking for that record. But we already put out, you know, my P, we already put out stuff. And they came in, they played me 4 records. One was Superman, one was called Lover something, one was something, and one was Kimi Big Deal. And I remember, I think I played Kimi Big Deal 4 times in a row. I was like, I think you guys are gonna have to go to Joburg on Monday, because I think we need to make a video. And the video was like, yeah, we're gonna do it like a Secret Service video. You boys are gonna be in suits, be secret agents. Let's just change the P of what people think when they see artists from Nigeria. And you've got to tell you something, NATO became a style icon. You know, everybody knows the Hausa hat with the Western clothes. It's a NATO C thing. All our guys were wearing suits. Every artist in Nigeria started dressing up. All this thing came from somewhere. Dare's red carpet launch at Echo Hotel had 35 TV stations on it. Nobody has ever done a bigger red carpet launch, I don't think. It was the first one. So it's like sometimes we look back and we say, well, we did a lot of things that we did first, right? I remember fighting for Two-Face to be the first video on MTV Base. For me, these little things were really important, you know? Two-Face was not my artist. You know, it's not about that. It was about my country. And I wanted a situation where the first, and it's there for the records, Tuesday, 5th of April or whatever it was, 2004, the first artist that went live on the channel is Two-Face, African Queen. It wasn't an accident. Some of us did the work to make it happen. And as you're sitting here, then you understand that Two-Face becomes the face of the brand, and he gets embedded in the channel, and they take him all around the world, and he wins all the awards, and I'm happy. For me, that's what it's all about. I don't need any praise for that, but you need to understand that some of us think like that. So I think about, okay, when I was doing Big Brother Nigeria in 2006, specifically, I remember a day when we got an email on a production email with 150 people confirming that either Sony BMG or somebody had approved, you know, the catalog for the show. So one of the executives was really excited. Oh, we've got world-class music, which is great, you know, no problem at all. But you gotta remember, this is 2005 in pre-production. And Nigerian music has no reputation in 2005. Yes, people have heard of Fela Kuti, people have heard of King Sunny Ade, but they haven't heard about us coming as a force, right? So I sent an email back, and everybody's on this email, and I'm like, hey, this is great news, but you know we're gonna be playing 70% Nigerian music on Big Brother Nigeria, and we're gonna be driving with Nigerian music. And then somebody replies to me, we sure the music is world class? And I said, you know, I really don't wanna reply that email, because the truth of the matter is I don't think you're qualified to make the statement. Because you can't tell me what world class is. And if the answer is yes, it is world class. But thank God we stepped up our music, because if we didn't, I'd be looking like an idiot. But the truth of the matter is, I think you have to be able to put your chest out and make the statement and claim the space, right? So we were very deliberate. By the time I was doing Big Brother Nigeria, everything was embedded. We made sure that the furniture in the house was Nigerian. The walls were not pelmets. It was using native cloth design and textile to actually design the house, put in the task, embed the music. When you watch Big Brother Nigeria or Big Brother Africa or Big Brother in any country, let me tell you the truth. The eviction parties were created by Storm. They weren't created by anybody else. They have maintained them for the last 15 years because they work, right? We embedded that music performance. They fought it, actually. They didn't even want to put a budget behind it. Today, they fly people across the continent just for that show because the show works. And it was first done in Ikeja GRA. And these are things that are factual, okay? And that's the way I think. I think about The Vault, which was a nightclub in Lagos. And we did a show with Channel O where we did it as eviction parties for people leaving the Big Brother house, okay? Nobody wanted to touch it. The sponsors didn't want to touch it. Even my partner wasn't interested at the time, to be honest. So I just took personal cash, me and Tola, and we did it anyway, okay? I had to pay for Style Plus to come down because they thought they should get paid. I'm like, no, there's no money to pay you, but you'd be stupid not to be here. Do you understand? Because I know what the platform is gonna mean for you. They had Imagine That, the biggest record in the country, because of Big Brother, the biggest record in the continent, but they didn't take advantage of it. These things happen to people, right? Either being not positioned or missing the opportunity or just not being ready. These things happen to people. So for me, that period of time, I was just trying to unlock space. First of all, you got to validate the music, right? And it's called show business, okay? This thing has been a journey. And the first thing we have to do to get to the business is to validate the show. It's taken us 10, 15 years, but I don't think anybody can argue we validated the show. Everybody in Nigeria knows now the Nigerian entertainment industry has power, it has validity, it can push marketing. If you don't connect to the Nigerian icons, you're not going to sell any product in Nigeria. We killed Michael Power. That was intentional. I don't want to see any random non-Nigerians selling stuff to Nigerians. Why? We've got thousands of icons. You want to sell stuff to a Nigerian? Go get one of the young icons and work with them. Do you understand? And that's my mentality. That's the hip hop mentality. And by the way, that's the connection, because hip hop is the first cousin of Afro beats. Okay? People need to understand that. Afro beats is hip hop attitude and mentality with a fusion of African sounds, hip hop and dancehall and R&B. That's what Afro beats is. And when you understand that, you understand the connected culture between young black people all over the world and why they can't stop us. We're 1 billion plus in Africa alone. We're another 100 million, 200 million outside Africa. And we are the trendsetters. The truth of the matter is, the black guys set the trends. They set the dance trends, the fashion trends, the music trends. 07, 08, after we did Big Brother Nigeria, we're still, I think in 07 we created 100% Niger. We did 3 seasons of that, and that was really a travelogue show to sort of show the cities in Nigeria to each other, because the truth of the matter is young Nigerians didn't know what was happening in Kaduna or in Enugu or in Jos or in Port Harcourt. And we wanted to do that. We did that with Channel O. I have to thank that for that. And Tana was the host of the show. Tola was really the A&R producer of the show. I'm more like executive producer, but it's my concept. And the thing about it is I'm really happy about some of those shows, because even through those shows, we discovered so much talent, right? When we went to Jos, it was MI that took us around Jos. He was not even known at the time. When we went to Kaduna, it was somebody like that. In Enugu, I think it was Flavor. And this is something that we've always been able to do. We look for who's hot, who's underground, how can we bring them up? How can we give them more platforms? How can we give them an opportunity to be seen and to be heard? And these are the sort of things that has always been important to me. At the same time, we then did The Apprentice Africa, which was huge and a huge experience, because it's really made us think more about the business side of the game. Because first of all, we did the show on terrestrial television. We didn't do it on satellite. So we did it on terrestrial in 18 African countries. It was also on terrestrial in the UK. And with that sort of situation going on, we flew in Africans from 16 African countries into Lagos. We flew them into Lagos. They actually lived here for 4 months. They couldn't believe that all the stuff they were seeing was owned by Nigerians. They'd be like, who owns the airline? It's a Nigerian guy. Who owns the bank? It's a Nigerian guy. Because in their countries, generally these things were owned by Europeans. And it was very important even for my production crew to see that, because then they understand, hey, why are you being so negative about Nigeria? We're actually ahead of a lot of places that you think are better than you. And that was one of the big outcomes from Apprentice Africa. But Apprentice Africa, again, was an incredible experience. Dragon's Den Nigeria was an incredible experience. And I'm happy, because if I think about it, I've been involved in producing some of the biggest brands in the world. I mean, we were involved, The Voice Nigeria, when it came here, I actually had resigned from the company at the time, but I was the partner before they came. We did Football Legends and The Winner Is, and then I resigned, and they did The Voice Nigeria 2 seasons with Mnet. I wasn't involved, but again, it's still the same journey of exposing our talents, bringing them out and giving them platforms, right? And the thing about it is, through all of that stuff with television and also with live events, because in 2008 to 2009, I was privileged to produce the Calabar Festival, and we created a television series, 18 episodes, and put it out in the UK and in Nigeria, which of course stretches the festival by 5 months in terms of television and makes it so much bigger for them, and people can see it, and now it's discoverable. So, and then we also changed their booking. I remember bringing Wycliffe and Akon and all these people, and also making them part of the story. So it's not just, oh, a foreign artist came. No, we're all the same. You know, Wycliffe always says it to me, I'm the Haitian Nigerian. That's what he says. He doesn't say I'm from here or there. Akon will tell you I'm in Africa, right? And that's what it was about. That was the movement. Those are the first two guys that really understood what we were trying to do here and connected to us nice and early, you know? And probably by 2011, 2012, to be honest, I haven't done that much in the space in the last decade because you kind of like pushed it all. And then I sort of pivoted, and I'm doing Social Media Week Lagos, which is the biggest technology platform and innovation platform on the continent. And again, for me, it's about unlocking space. It's about creating innovation, about enabling people who are making things happen to have a platform to showcase and discover and enable. And just from that platform, trust me, where there's job, we have seen so many technology companies, we've seen so much innovation. And on the next phase of the journey for me is, how do I bring the innovation world, the technology world, to back the entertainment, the creative industry, to create the physical and digital infrastructure that we need to monetize in our market. Yeah, I think the most important advice for anybody who's trying to be an entrepreneur in any field they're trying to be in is, first of all, focus on integrity. Integrity is the number one thing, because your reputation is what will give you access. Hard work, you can't substitute hard work for anything. I know these two things sound boring, but without those two things, you can't get to the exciting stuff. Creativity and innovation, they're nice sounding words, but the most important thing about them is to be original. If you don't come with original ideas, nobody's really going to be that interested. And then most importantly, be able to communicate. Learn how to communicate your idea, learn how to put it down on paper, learn how to sell it to people. You may only get 1 second or 1 minute, and that might be the minute that counts. So make sure you're ready at any time. If anyone ever asks you, what is it you do? You've got a quick answer. You know, some people ask me what I do, I say I make dreams. I just made that up, by the way.